Alright, so this is Piskel. This is where you start when you type in the URL. I'm going to walk you through the process of making an animated GIF on here. Okay, so the first step is we're either going to press Create Sprite or we're going to press Sign In. Now, that's up to you. You can make an account and sign in with Google if you want to. You don't have to do that. I do it when I work on this website for my own art because it just feels more secure, but there's no need if you don't have a Google account or if you don't want to. So we're going to press Create Sprite. Alright, and that brings us to this page. So this is our workspace. This is where we're going to do all of our drawing, all of our creating. There's a lot of different stuff on this screen, some of it not super helpful or not as helpful as other things. So I'm going to walk you through the important stuff, starting from the left side. So on the left is this toolbar here with all sorts of stuff, and you'll notice if you hover over certain things, it gives you the name of the tool. Sometimes it tells you instructions on if you press a button, something will happen. Sometimes it gives you kind of a description of what you can do. So I'm going to go through the important ones, and then the other ones you can experiment with on your own. So first one, the pen tool. That's the most important one. It's what you use to make your drawing. When you use a pen, you can change your pen size up here. Okay, I like to keep mine at the first one, but if you're covering a big space, maybe you want to use the bigger one. It's up to you. Okay, so the pen tool is that one. The next one is the paint bucket tool. That's what you use to cover up a full space, like the background, or if you've got like an enclosed area, like a rectangle or a circle or somebody's face, something like that, you can use the paint bucket tool to fill one color in there. The next one, the rectangle tool, and you can see here it says if you press shift, you can give it a 1-to-1 ratio. I have a Mac, so if you have a Windows computer, then it might say a different key, I'm not sure. But what that means is if you press shift, then it'll make it a square. Similarly, right next to it, there's a circle tool. And if you press shift, it makes it a circle. But if you don't press shift, it's more of an oval. Down here is the move tool. This is what you use just to move things around on your space. The selection tool, so there's two selection tools. There's the rectangle and the lasso. Both of these, you use them to select a piece of your art, and you can copy and paste that. So it's really helpful if you've got a part of your drawing and you want to make it on another frame, which we'll talk about frames. The rectangle tool just makes a rectangle, and then the lasso tool, it can be any shape selection. Another one, the color picker, is helpful if you have used a color on your somewhere on your drawing and you want to use it again. You can just press the color picker tool, and then you can find where that was used on your work, and it brings up that color right in here. The last one on here I want to show you is this one, the vertical mirror pen, which if you press a different button, it can make it a horizontal mirror pen. This is helpful if you want to do symmetry in your art, because what will happen is if you've got that selected and you draw a line down here, what's going to happen is it's going to do the same exact line on this side. So it's helpful if you don't want to use the circle tool and you want to do like a person's face. Down here is where your colors are. So this is the primary one, it's the one on top. If I were to use my pen tool and start drawing right now, it would be in black because that's the color that's selected. And if I just press that box, I can pick a different color. So this part here changes the value of the color, and then this changes your color from like red to green or blue or any of these colors. Okay, and then so once you've got one selected, you press away and it stays. And so if I were to use my pen tool here, it would come out in that blue color. And then there's this other one right here, this secondary color. And this is helpful for if you keep on alternating between two colors, because you can just load another color up in here like that, and then if you want to, you can press this little button to swap the colors. Last thing on the left side is right up here. So this shows us our frames. Our frames are just individual pictures that make up the GIF or the animation. Think like a flipbook. In a flipbook, this is the first page of the flipbook, but then each frame after that is just another page. In the center here is where we do our drawing. Now going to the right, this right here is a little preview. This shows you exactly what work you've done, and it shows it moving. So you'll see that later on when you see me working. You'll see that this thing keeps on moving around. It shows you what your art is going to look like when the frames are moving together like a GIF. Okay, down here are some more tools that are helpful. You could crop your picture, make it smaller. The flip tool is pretty helpful. Maybe if you don't want to use the mirror tool, but you want to make something the same on the other side. So for example, if you wanted to do like butterfly wings, you might draw one side of the butterfly wings and then copy the butterfly wings and paste them and then flip the pasted side so that's flipped over and they're facing each other just like that. So that could be helpful. Down here, this palettes is where you'll see all the colors that are being used in your artwork. So it's helpful like how the color picker tool is. Again, if you've got a lot of color in your work and you want to pick a color that you've already used before, then you can just press it over here. Over here are some other little things, some other little tools. Resize is where you might want to start when you get to work. So the default is 32 pixels by 32 pixels. And personally, I feel like that's a little bit small because the size of a pixel, if you can see on my workspace, is this little lighter box. Those boxes are kind of big, so when I do my work, I usually want to make the width or the height, whichever is smallest, at least 50 pixels. It's up to you. You don't have to do that. That's just the way I like to do it, because when I press resize, you can see that my box for my pixel is quite a bit smaller. And you'll also notice when I changed this top one, the bottom one also changed with it. That's because maintain aspect ratio is clicked. So if I unclick that, then I could change it so that say my width is 100 and my height is 50. And then I'll just press resize and it's just like that. Another thing that's very helpful is this save button here. Even if you don't sign in and create your own account, you can still save your work in the browser on the website. The way that works is, let's see, let me make a title for my work. I'm just going to call it drawing 1. One way I could do it is save it as a file on my computer, or I could save it in the browser. And so when I do that, that means that if I were to close this website and tomorrow come back to it, I would be able to just open it up again and still use it. You of course have to use the same browser though, so I'm using Google Chrome. I couldn't do this on Firefox or Safari and still make it work. So I'm going to press save in browser, and you can see that when I did that, my title changed up here. So those are most of the tools. Of course, there's other little things you can adjust and mess with, and I do recommend before you start, maybe go in and see how it works, just to use the paint bucket tool and then see how it works, how it feels to use the pen tool. Make sure you understand what you're doing, so that when you actually get to work on something that you're excited about, it's a little bit easier.